All right, hello, this is Wmpyr here to respond back to some comments, questions, and stuff. So let me go ahead and start. One man on fire commented, "This YouTuber has been rocking it since the beginning." Well, I joined YouTube on 2006 and I started uploading videos shortly after. So yeah, I've been on YouTube a long time, and if you have been following my YouTube channel since then, which I think is a very small percentage of viewers, or if anyone has really done that, you'll see that my stuff is pretty much what I was doing back then and what I'm doing today is pretty much the same thing. It's just hopefully it's become more polished, more evolved, and the most important thing is that my presentation is becoming better. That I could explain it more clear. You know, by presentation, I don't mean video editing or using a better camera or my filming studio. It's, as you can see, it's not a studio, and I've never been into that. No, my explanations is what I'm talking about. I want to make that more clear, easier to understand, and communicate better. Why? Because, well, for one thing, I really believe, I hate to say I believe in this stuff, but I plan to use this stuff if I'm ever in a bad situation. And I also have in the past. So this is stuff that I would use, I will use, and I have used. Therefore, if I could explain it to you guys more clearly, then that means my understanding is also better. And if I understand it better, then I'll be able to use it better. So it's like two birds with one stone. It benefits you and it benefits me. So that's definitely one of the most important things to me, is about presenting it better. All right. So this right here says, why is this self-defense technique called the diamond defense? Okay, so the diamond defense, I just came back right now, and so you could see I got my belt bag, right? And I got some keys right here. So this is what I have. So I'm carrying it. In a bad situation comes up, boom, I grab it, I'm ready to go, right? I'm ready to go. That motion comes from this, the sticks. Everything comes from the sticks. It starts from here. Okay. Originally, Kia, Kali, Escrima, Arnis, the stick was a substitute, or it's for training. This is a one-handed sword. That's what it symbolized. But over time, the stick had become, in its own right, very effective. But anyway, so this is the main training tool. Okay, we have a normal size stick. This is a little bit shorter, but about normal size, which is about as long as you can get with a one-handed weapon and still be able to use it. Okay, if it becomes like your standard umbrella length, it becomes too long, too heavy, and that's better with two hands. So this is one-handed. Anyway, back to the diamond defense. Attack is coming in, and we do this defend here and defend here. Okay, so that I just created a diamond, one, and then over here two. So that creates this, and then down here, anything that's coming to attack me low, down here, and then down here over here. So that creates this and this. So it literally creates a diamond shape to protect me. So that's one of the main reasons why it's called diamond defense. What I'm doing there, the technique, the traditional Kia technique there is called the force-to-force block, which I learned it originally like this, two hands on one stick. But that could be modified to where you're doing something like this, or it could be just here, and then with a shorter weapon, you could do this, or a hand support here. There's variations. the main idea is you're going force to force. So it doesn't have to be this. Attack is coming in. So if an attack is coming in, right, I'm meeting the attack. It's force to force. That is the main idea. And if you look at Kia practitioners, most of what they do is that force to force. Okay, it's just that for some reason, teaching wise, for me, in my case, they taught me like this for the force to force block. Everything else, they didn't call it force to force block, but we were doing essentially most of what we were doing was force to force block, but we did it single-handed. Okay, but anyway, when I call diamond defense, now we're using a defense bag. It doesn't have to be this, it could be bigger, and I recommend bigger than this. This is about as small as you can get and still be able to defend. If it gets any smaller than this, it's too difficult. So really, this is the minimal size, and this is a pretty big belt bag. Okay, so anyway, I'm using this to defend. Okay, and with this, it really, in a way, is like a perfect defense, perfect like a diamond. So hence the name diamond defense. When you have distance and you're using evasion, then it really feels perfect. When you start to lose the distance, then immediately the diamond starts crumbling, and you start finding out that it ain't perfect, you know. So it's all about the distance. Distance is incredibly, incredibly important. The defense, the actual block, is not even that important. It's more so about the distance and the evasion. But anyway, that is the diamond defense, and hopefully now you know where it comes from and why it's called that, why I named it that. All right, next is, okay, so this is about, I was talking about the poison mist, right? So SF Zip commented, this is a great concept. We'll need to practice your drills to get the flow going. So the poison mist is very, very versatile. So you could do it with a knife. You could do it with empty hands. You could do it with keys. You could do it with a stick, you know, with a lot of different things. But the idea is to create this barrier, this defensive barrier that if they want to attack you, they got to go around it. It makes it difficult for them to attack you. So because there's this poison cloud that's just floating because of your combos, you know, whatever it is that you're doing. Because of your combo right here, they have to go through this storm, and it makes it harder for them to get to you. Or if they're already on you and you create this wild storm right here, they have to go, what the hell, you know, and you're creating that space. So it's a defensive technique. You don't even, like I said, you don't even have to make contact. What you do have to do is you have to make it look scary for them. You have to make it fast, rapid, and convince them psychologically that they don't want to be there, you know. And really, it doesn't take a whole lot. If you get some keys like this and you just do this to their face, it's going to make them back off, you know, and that's essentially the idea there. I'm just going side to side, and then I could start playing with the angles of attack where I'm going now diagonal, which is my figure 8 motions. I can make circles, and I'm creating this small storm that's right in their face. And if you have never had anyone that's trained in this stuff do that to you, I had a guy with a knife do this to me. And it was a live blade, and they were demonstrating. And when they did that to me, that was the first time. And that happened like way later. I've been doing Filipino martial arts for a long time, and I never really, yes, we did partner drills and all that, but I'm also doing stuff back, you know. But this was the first time where the guy just pulled out a neck knife real quick, and in front of my face did that. And I was like, I get it. I get it now. This is some powerful stuff. So how do you practice that stuff? The drills that you need to do are the 2 drills that you're going to spend the most time with if you do Filipino martial arts. It's not partner drills, because in your life, in your entire life, how many times do you have a good partner that you could work out with? when you do, you're lucky. Most of the time, this is solo work. 90% of your life. You know, I'm now 49 years old, so it is most of your life. It's a lonely road. It's a solo road. So in that time, the most time that you're going to be spending with is the angles of attack forms and the double arm weaving forms. And that you could do solo. That's solo training. And you should be doing that in many different ways. You should be doing it with sticks, with training knives. And then when you get better, like start making contact against the tire, you know, actually make you don't want to do it on a bag, because even a simple stick will destroy a bag. So on the bag, you should be doing it empty hand. You should be practicing your heaven six, your angles of attack, you know, that kind of stuff. Practice with a tactical flashlight. As you're doing this, you should click, you know, boom, 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 click, you know. You should be able to time it to where right on their face, and you could shine it right into their eyes as you're doing this. Bam, 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 click, bam, 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 click, click, you know. So that kind of stuff, you want to get as much repetitions as possible. Once again, angles of attack form. I don't care what style of Kia, just practice whatever you learn. A lot of times it's 12. It's 12 different strikes that they teach you, a form of 12. If it's 12 or longer, some are 24. As 24 movements that they put in together. Number 1 is this, number 2 is this, number 3 is this, number 4 is that, you know. And if it's long like that, if it's like 24, then break it up into parts. And those are your smaller combos, you know. And then now you could repeat those combos. You could add combos together, chain it together, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So angles of attack form. Once again, I don't care what style it comes from. Number 2 is your double arm weaving. Double arm weaving is now both arms simultaneous. The angles of attack is usually single stick, meaning one arm. Okay, so double arm weaving is now both arms simultaneously. Okay, and once again, I don't care if it's the heaven six you're doing, or some kind of variation, or the reverse heaven six, or the low heaven six. It doesn't matter. Do some kind of double arm weaving, and it's not how many you know. It's about how much you practice it. And by that I mean, like I said, have you done it empty hand? Have you done it on a hill? Have you done it when it's raining and slippery? Have you done it against a guy that's bigger than you? Have you done it against a guy that's throwing boxing punches against you? Have you done it against a Muay Thai fighter? You know, all those kinds of things is way important than, you know, 50 different double arm weaving forms, you know. So for me personally, I like the heaven six. I concentrated mainly on the heaven six. There was a time, of course, it's just part of the training, where you go through and try to discover as many variations as possible. And I was doing that, and I was making a list, and I was going, okay, so it's A, B, C, you know, this variations, okay, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, all these different modifications. And then I basically realized that it was infinite. So at that point, I was like, okay, I discovered enough. It don't even matter. It's not about the amount. It's about the quality. Not the quantity, but the quality. So, okay, let me move on. Next question here. So hopefully that'll tell you guys how to practice the poison cloud, because that's essentially what it is. Oh, okay, so this one right here, Marco PC4IS says, okay, I watch your videos all the time. Well, thank you. I admit that you are a master of knife fighting. Okay, so real quick on that, I am not a master of knife fighting, okay? And I'm not saying that to try to be humble, okay? So first of all, knife fighting to me is a very specific thing, okay? I said to you guys, combat is assault, fighting, and self-defense. So knife combat has those three things in there. Now you could choose one and only do knife fighting. You know, I've seen some Italian, I think they're Italian or maybe Spanish guys, and they're very, very, very good at knife fighting. It almost looks like a fencing form of thing. And so It's like two guys. They both have, I think, training knives, and it's like ready, go, and it's a competition, and they're awesome at it. There's knife self-defense, and that's where I was telling you guys about the poison mist technique. In that case, I don't care about scoring. I don't care about hitting. As long as you can't get to me, that's what I'm interested in. And then we have assault. Assault techniques is like coming up to someone from behind and taking them out. That's totally different from the other two. So I am a knife combat instructor is the way that I view it. So I know I'm being nitpicky, so I apologize, but I'm just trying to make it clear and trying to explain to you. I'm not trying to pretend to be humble. I'm just saying my viewpoint, why I am not a knife master or a knife fighting master. So I am a knife combat instructor. And to be an instructor, all you need material to teach. You need the material, and then you need to know it well enough to teach it. That's really the minimal. I mean, the rest is, are you a good teacher? That's really what it comes down to. And a good teacher would not allow bullying in the class or, things like that. But you're trying to make a good learning environment. That's a good teacher. But really, that's it. So it's nothing special. To me, a knife combat master, or you said knife fighting master. When we say master, then you possess a skill that the average person cannot do. I mean, they could bust their butt trying to do it. It's not going to happen, right? To me, that's a master. Do I have such a skill? No. So that's why I don't consider myself a master. I know master, a lot of people think of like Master Yoda or Mr. Miyagi or, something crazy like that, There's almost like a mystical element. To me, first of all, with Grandmaster, Master, 10th degree black belt, all those things I don't care about, never cared about, right? And I always viewed it as it should be the same as school. How long does it take for you to do grade school? And then from grade school, we go to junior high school and high school. How long does that take? And then from there, we go to college. How long does that take to get a bachelor's? And then from there, you have a master's degree. And then from there, you have a doctorate degree. So I feel like martial arts should be the same way. It should follow that. So when you say master, it's not master as in something mystical. Master's degree. That's the way I see it, time-wise. But I know what you mean. So in this case, I'm defining it different than that. That's the way I feel like martial arts should be. It should be no different than school, right? Because it is a school. It's another curriculum. But when I think of a knife master or a Muay Thai master or some kind of Aikido master or whatever, once again, I think of they possess a skill, a technique that the average person, no matter how hard they try, will not be able to do it. Period. Okay. So, for example, I always bring up this example: Mirko Krokop, MMA fighter. That guy's left high kick, he landed that on Vanderlei Silva. I think it was in Pride. Not only did he knock him out, he cut the flesh. In other words, that kick is razor sharp. A kick. You look at your foot, okay, and I'm not talking about the toenail. Just look at your foot, this part, right? He can cut with that. That's how razor sharp his kick is. That, I don't care. I've been doing Muay Thai for a long time, just for fun, not super serious, but I've always liked that style. So I've been doing Muay Thai for a long time. I will never be able to do it in my entire lifetime. And I've put in some time into it. So to me, that is a master, And so with the knife stuff, how come I'm not a master is because I'm doing the knife stuff for self-defense purposes. I want the average person to be able to use this stuff. The average person. In fact, if you're weaker than average, that's who I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking about someone that's big, strong, went into the mountains for 10 years and then came back and, has some special skill. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the average person who's busy with life, that doesn't have a lot of time to devote to this. That is what I'm putting, my art for, is this self-defense style that the average person can use it. I'm not saying that they're going to be able to beat everyone. No, that's not my interest. That's unrealistic, especially when I'm saying anyone can use it, right? Now, if you're saying I want to come up with an unbeatable style and it's only for elite athletes and elite fighters, then yeah, that makes sense. That you're going to come up with the ultimate style and you're going to be this machine, this killing machine. But at the same time, that's only a small percentage of the population can actually do something like that. That makes sense to me. But that's not what I'm going for. I'm going for the opposite, where everybody can do. Well, if everybody can do, then we're not talking about some super high level skill. I'm talking about some basic skill like the force to force block, the diamond defense that I'm talking about, where you take out a bag and defend. To defend against a knife barehanded, extremely hard. Maybe a master can do that, but that's a small percentage of the population. Even if you train your whole life, you'll probably never be able to do those things. So that's why. That's all I'm saying. That's why I don't consider myself a master. Do I know my stuff? I'd like to think that I know I've been working on this stuff, like I said, since 2006. Actually, before that, but 2006 is around the time where I came up with the K4S system, which was the actual self-defense system. Why 2006? That was right after I finished doing my BJJ training, and I was like, I got to a decent level for me. I'm not saying I'm decent compared to everybody else. I'm just saying for me, I was like, okay, I'm cool with this level that I'm at, and I'm done with sport fighting. Because up until then, I wanted to fight against other styles, like Bloodsport, like Street Fighter, because that's my era. I grew up in that, So I wanted to be able to do that. So I did. I fought people from other styles. Oh, you're a kickboxer and a judo guy? All right, let's go. Judo's not my thing. Kickboxing is, but judo is not my thing. Let's see what happens. I wanted to do that, and I did. I got to do it. 2006, I was done with it. And plus, right around that time, my downstairs neighbor got robbed. And that's when I was like, I want to focus more on self-defense, because if I was in that situation, I realized I can't just do MMA fighting there. That's not going to cut it. So that's when 2006 was really focused on my self-defense system, not my fighting system, but my self-defense system. Okay, so then, all right, there is a sick law in Poland that if you're defending yourself with a knife, you will always be at a disadvantage in court because you also had a knife and you will go to jail. It's not just Poland. That's a lot of places. That's unfortunately the reality, and that's something we cannot ignore. If you use a knife, there's just devastating consequences, period. Even if you were in some magical country where they don't care about that, the consequences of hurting somebody with a knife is devastating. It should be. It should, psychologically, morally, spiritually, ethically, in every way, it should be devastating. So, okay. Could you make a separate video about the Kubotan fighting? Okay, so this is what I want to explain here is the stick is where my skill comes from. Okay, this is where I started. So I just got the stick skill and I transferred it to the knife. In the same manner, I could get the stick skill and transfer it to the Kubotan. Okay, this is actually what do you call it? See, this is kind of a Kubotan, but it's flexible. There's nothing hard inside. So legally, this makes it, I think, much, much better. it still hurts. And yeah, you could put your keys on it. But anyway, I just feel like it's less of a, looks even less like a weapon. But it's the same idea as a Kubotan, right? So I could transfer the stick skills to that. I could transfer the stick skills to the pen. I could transfer the stick skills to the knife, okay? Flashlight, even pepper spray, although this has the extra ability to, you know, to go out like that. So anyway, it's this, and this is one-handed weapon skills. That's what it is. Okay, so that's why I could do two hands. You know, I could have a knife and a stick, or a knife, double knife, or a knife and a Kubotan, or pen and a Kubotan, whatever, you know. So that's no problem for me. So what I'm trying to say is it's the same. It's basically the same. I am doing angles of attack and Heaven 6 with this. Guess what I'm doing with the knife? Angles of attack and Heaven 6 with the knife. Sure, details will change, but the main idea is exactly the same. It's one system. Why? Because when I'm in a situation and I grab this to protect myself, I don't want to think. I don't want to think, okay, with a cup, I got to go different. With a spoon, I got to go different. With an axe, I got to go. No, it's one system. It's the same. So when I go to a tactical pen, guess what? It's going to be angles of attack and Heaven 6, the double arm weaving. It's going to be the same thing. I go to this. This is your more standard Kubotan. Same idea, okay? Angles of attack and your Heaven 6. What am I doing with this flashlight? Same idea. Angles of attack and Heaven 6, you know. Empty hand, angles of attack, Heaven 6. Open hand, angles of attack, Heaven 6. So people ask me, like, and this is a common question, how do you do, you know, self-defense with this weapon or that weapon? It's the same. That's my answer. It's the same. Yes, there are details that are different, but the general idea is the same. So I hope that helps. Okay. Am I slightly boring but eternal question? It is not boring. Thank you for the question. All y'all, thank you for the comments and questions, okay? I try to read all the comments, and sometimes I don't respond for various reasons. And if your response is kind of negative, I will most definitely not respond. And if maybe you didn't mean it negatively, but if it can be misinterpreted to negative, I'm going to delete it. A lot of times I will delete it. So don't take offense to that, okay? That's just, I don't want to create a negative vibe. And maybe to you it's not negative at all, but maybe to me, I just felt like that could offend somebody or whatever. So I'll just take it off, okay? So it is my channel and that's what I do. But pretty much every comment I will read, yeah, okay? All right, so Kubotan with or without the keys, which variant is better? Honestly, to me, that is a personal preference. That's like saying with a knife, do you want the handle scales to be aluminum, or do you want it to be micarta, or do you want it to be, you know, FRN, fiberglass reinforced nylon, or you know, G10? It's preference, you know. Do you want the blade to be American Tanto? Do you want it to be, you know, like a karambit curved blade, hawkbill's blade, or do you want it to be Bowie style? I mean, personal preference, okay? That's my honest opinion there. But that being said, in martial arts, we have a lot of different techniques, and all these different techniques are different from each other. Okay, they're different. How do you know which one, you know, which one to go for? So in this case, Kubotan like this or Kubotan without the keys, okay? With the keys, without the keys, which one? Technically speaking, I said it's personal preference. To me, that's the strongest. Number one, it's personal preference. So it's up to you. Which one do you like better? But number two, I would say technically, skill-wise, okay, if you like the skill where you're going to go, you know what, I'm going to use this and I'm put this in your, I'm going to put the keys to your face. Go for your eyes, right? I'm going to do that. I'm going to scratch your face with the keys. And then with this one, it's like, no, I don't want to do that. I just want to hit hard with this. So there, you got a technical reason to pick one or the other. One isn't better than the other, okay? It's a technical reason. So for example, if I'm going to do this to your eyes, right? Because it's attached to here, it gives me a little bit more length. So I have a little bit more reach. And if I'm able to do that, and that sounds good to me, then I might prefer that. But if I go, no, the sound and all that, I don't want that. It's distracting. I just want to hit really hard with this, and I can hit hard with this. I'm not saying I can, but you might be able to. So you prefer this. The power here is better, is much better than having reach in the eyes. So who is right? Who is wrong? There is no right or wrong. What it is in combat or self-defense. So in a combat situation, you believe that you could scratch their face, right, by throwing this into their face, and you have the reach advantage, so you have a better chance of doing that. Whereas this, yes, this has more power, but they have to get closer. When you do combat with them, and they're always getting close to you, they're always getting close, and they're always landing this, or they take you to the ground, and now they're doing this to you, then this didn't work, right? This didn't work. Or let's think of the opposite. They want to get in close to hit you with this with power, and you're not letting them. And you're doing like a MMA sprawl and brawl, and you're just doing this, and they can't come in. And every time they try to get in, you push them off, and you're doing this to their face, and they cannot get to you. Then in that case, this is a success, and this is a failure, right? So it depends on who is able to use their logic in the combat situation. It's not who's right or who's wrong. It's about who's able to make their logic happen and the other person's logic not. So you shut down their logic. They could be super right, but you're shutting down their logic and you're making your logic happen. It's like saying in MMA, you have a grappler versus a striker, okay? And so who's better? Who's right? Who's wrong? There is no right or wrong, okay? So if the grappler is trying to get to the striker and the striker knocks him out with a flying knee, bam, it knocks him out, right? Then in that case, the striker was able to implement their style better, and the grappler's grappling was useless, right? But does that mean that grappling is wrong? No. If the guy took him down, he would have destroyed the striker. So that logic is still legit. Does that make sense? That logic is still threatening. That threat is still very, very true, and it's still there. But in combat, it's about who could employ their logic and who could shut down the other person's logic. That looks like one person is right and the other person's wrong. That looks like it. It's not. It's not. It's just at that specific moment, you were able to implement your logic better. It's just a moment of opportunity is what it is. At that time, it happened to be that you were able to do that and the other guy wasn't able to. That's all it is. So I hope that makes sense. Really, number one, though, to me is personal preference, and you just understand it as that. And then number two is, if you do put keys on, can you make a difference with that? Is the keys going to help you? Can you make it help you? If not, then don't put on the keys. You know, so that's it. And I think that's it. So wow, it's over 30 minutes now. But anyway, thank you all so much for your comments and your questions. That's it for now. Thank you all for viewing, and take care, folks.